A woman ran through the night, her heart pounding, her breath ragged. The child in her arms whimpered softly, his tiny fingers curling around her cloak. Behind her, the vicious reptile Dalki moved like shadows, relentless, merciless. They had already killed her husband. Now they wanted her son. This child is no ordinary infant, their master had warned them. He is a demon, a monster, a vampire. If he lives, he will bring ruin upon us all. Lightning cracked through the sky as she reached an abandoned village. Her legs trembled, her body weak from loss of blood, but she could not stop. She wouldn't. She found an old, crumbling house and stumbled inside. Time was slipping away. With shaking hands, she placed the Book of Blood beside Quinn. The cover felt alive, pulsing like a heartbeat. She bit her lip, slicing her finger open, and let her blood fall onto the book. My son, you must survive. You must stay hidden until it is time. A shadow loomed behind her. The hunters had arrived. A blade flashed, a gasp. Silence. Camilla collapsed. From the infant's chest, a dark mist swirled, whispering in an ancient tongue. The hunters hesitated. The air itself seemed to shift, thick with something unnatural. Then it began. The book's power surged, lashing out like an unseen storm. One by one, the hunters fell, their screams swallowed by the darkness. The book was protecting Quinn, but just as the last hunter perished, one remained, wounded, barely standing, but alive. He staggered forward, his trembling hands closing the book shut. The power vanished. The shadows recoiled. He looked at the child, at Quinn, and let out a ragged breath. You may be the most powerful vampire, but you will never truly awaken. Not until this book opens again. His lips curled into a grim smile. And it will only open with your blood. A lone woman, Mary, a wandering traveler, walks along the forest path when she hears the faint cry of a baby. She follows the sound, stepping over the ruins, her eyes widening as she sees Quinn, alone. Her heart clenches with pity. She kneels beside him and gently picks him up. He stops crying instantly. His small hands clutch at her cloak. She looks around, dead bodies, scorched earth, destruction, and beside him a book. She hesitates. Something about it feels wrong, but she cannot leave it there. Mary sighs and lifts the book. To her, it is nothing more than a mother's last possession.
You poor child. I'll take care of you.
Mary's home. Night, a small, warm cabin. Mary places Quinn in a crib, watching over him. But then, his breathing stops. She leans closer, panicked. Suddenly, Quinn's tiny hands twitch. His nails sharpen. His eyes snap open. Mary stumbles back. His infant form shifts, almost like something inside him is fighting to break free. Then it's gone. His claws retract. His eyes return to soft brown. He coos softly. Mary stands frozen, breathless. The next morning, she wraps him in blankets and takes him to an orphanage. Her hands shake as she knocks on the doors. Orphanage. Nida, towering old church, filled with the whispers of lost souls. The head priest lifts Quinn into his arms and instantly senses something unnatural. But he says nothing. He chooses to raise Quinn in secret. Night far away, in the Dalki war base, the Dalki master watches through a swirling pool of dark energy.
My strongest warriors fell, and the child still lives.
His glowing red eyes narrow.
I should have burned the village myself.
He clenches his fists. His rage boils.
There is only one way to end this. Summon the shapeshifter.
Night, a cold wind howls. A shadowy figure kneels before the gates of the orphanage. Flesh shifts. He becomes a small child. A 1-year-old boy abandoned at the doorstep. His eyes gleam for a second, before turning innocent and wide. The priest finds the child at the door and, with a sigh, carries him inside. Another abandoned soul. The shapeshifter child sits beside Quinn's crib, watching, waiting, midnight. The shapeshifter slowly turns his head. His eyes burn pitch black, his lips curl into a monstrous grin. He raises his clawed hand, moves toward Quinn's sleeping form. Shadows rise around him, and then Quinn opens his eyes. His breath turns cold. His pupils sharpen. His heartbeat stops. Before the assassin can strike, little Quinn grabs his wrist. The entire room erupts. The shapeshifter's face contorts in horror. The boy he was sent to kill is awakening. The shapeshifter lunges, his form shifting into something grotesque. But Quinn moves first. Quinn lifts the creature by its throat. His red eyes glow in the candlelight. Shapeshifter, no, this isn't possible. Crack. Quinn snaps his neck. The shapeshifter collapses, lifeless. The church bells chime. Minutes later, Quinn, giggling innocently, playing with his blanket. The door creaks open. The priest enters. His eyes widen. His face turns pale. He sees the shapeshifter's lifeless body on the floor.
Now, I understand who this child really is. And he needs to forget his powers until the time he spills his own blood.